Story 1. Grief, especially if it is over the person you were closest to. Migraines, the kind where you lie in bed and try not to move, accidentally stabbing yourself in the eye. Story 2. Cluster migraine. If you have never heard of it, research it. It is also called a suicide headache because people have committed suicide to end the pain. Story 3. Anal fissures. The best way I can describe it is having a lighter held up to your anus all day for nearly a year. I even called the suicide prevention hotline. Pro tip: if you have been on morphine all week, do not eat 2 cheeseburgers as soon as you are released from the hospital. It has been 2 years since it subsided, and I am still afraid to have a bowel movement. Story 4. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I broke 2 ribs. She proceeded to kick them over and over again for a month straight. Story 5. The part where you give birth vaginally with no pain relief and the baby's head is crowning. It feels like a bowling ball is aggressively trying to push your pelvis apart and has zero concern about what it may rupture on its journey. Story 6. Psychopathic and narcissistic abuse and manipulation rewire your brain. It is traumatizing and life-altering. Can take years to recover. The manipulation is insidious, skilled, and difficult to understand. They are charming and you assume they are like you, but in reality, they are a different type of person. Cunning, exploitative, void of love, wearing a mask. When you finally realize the truth, it is often too late. You have bared your soul to them, trusted them, and they exploit that for selfish use or advantage. You are fortunate if that is all. They might destroy you financially and damage your reputation, either for fun or selfish gain. They do not see you as a human being. They have zero empathy. You are an object to them to use. You will have no idea this is happening. Gradually, you become more trauma bonded to them over time. They may become bored with you or you will run out of use. Then comes the brutal discard if you are lucky. It is devastating in a way that is hard to comprehend unless you have experienced it. It is difficult to explain their tactics to someone who has not gone through it. Story 7. Achieving your life goal only for it to be taken from you for reasons beyond your control. Got into flight school. Went from a 2.7 high school grade point average to a 3.6 college grade point average to do it. Grounded permanently by the government for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Story 8. Heartbreak is probably the worst pain I have experienced. It is worse than when I had to undergo any painful procedure. Story 9. Waking up during surgery, you let the medical team know. The anesthesiologist gives you more anesthesia, but it does not actually put you back to sleep. Instead, it paralyzes you so you cannot tell them you are still awake. They proceed as if you are unconscious. You feel every cut and suture during the rest of the operation. I know. Story 10. Fluid in your fallopian tube. I am currently in the hospital for suspected ectopic pregnancy, and it feels like one side of my body is giving birth. I cannot even describe the pain. Story 11. Nobody seems to have said this one yet, so I will. Heartburn. I have only experienced it twice but am terrified of experiencing it again. Medication advertisements, television shows, and reading information online did nothing to prepare me for how it actually felt. Just take an antacid. I literally thought I was having a heart attack. Story 12. Depression. Today I was laughing at a story, and I realized I have not laughed like that in years. It is surprising how bleak the world can be when you are living with depression and how accustomed you become to it. Story 13. Waking up early after a quintuple bypass when you are still on the ventilator. As my nurse said sympathetically, "Find your 10. Did you?" Story 14. Waking up to realize you also failed at committing suicide. It has been a long time since then. I am okay now and I am happy for the fail, but that moment of waking up, I do not know. There are no words to describe it, and you just move on with life like nothing happened and no one is the wiser. Story 15. I have narcolepsy, and if you stay awake for 2 to 3 days straight, you might temporarily experience the level of tiredness that people with narcolepsy experience almost all day, every day. It is physically painful. The level of brain fog that comes with it is also physically painful. It hurts to think. It hurts to be conscious. Many people with narcolepsy do not fall asleep uncontrollably like on television. They just feel permanently and painfully tired. If you experience something like that, get it checked out by a sleep doctor. Story 16. Being a caregiver to your parents is challenging. Every sigh or change in their mood, blood pressure readings, and heart rate can cause significant anxiety. It is an emotional, mental, and physical experience that only other caregivers will understand. Story 17. Cluster headache, also known as suicide headache. Pain on an entirely new level. I would bang my head against the wall because that pain somehow felt better. Story 18. Shingles. I had them right over my temple. Felt like brain freeze, except instead of lasting 30 seconds, it lasted 48 hours. Story 19. Losing a loved one is hard. It is difficult to find the right words to say to someone when they lose somebody. After experiencing it yourself, you realize that those words feel empty and that the best thing is simply a quiet presence. The emotions and dreams that follow are a life-changing experience. Story 20. Finding out you are unexpectedly missing a bunch of teeth after waking up in the hospital and learning that you were hit by a car but do not remember it. Then having to eat smoothies, soups, and soft foods during a global pandemic. You cannot eat any comfort food because your functional teeth are gone and you are facing a couple of years of surgeries. All of your work is video conferencing based, but your face was smashed in the crash, and your brain too. You are in charge of a pretty exciting program but cannot do acting because of the brain injury. Every second you are not working on your program is time that is expiring on the limited window. Story 21. Migraine. It is not just a headache. The headache is only the core of the issue. You are also nauseous, dizzy, half-blind, struggling to speak, finding it difficult to move, unable to think clearly, and every light or sound makes you feel like you are being stabbed. You are unnecessarily emotional. You are crying over nothing and do not know why. Plus, the effort of crying makes your head hurt more than it already did. You can feel your pulse in your scalp and in your fingertips. Every time you become concerned that you are actually having a stroke. One day you might. You need to sleep, but every throbbing cell in your body tells you that you are being forced through a cheese grater, so good luck with that. Your only hope is to take a pill that makes you feel like your skin has become 3 sizes too small and your muscles are turning to rebar. Even if it passes, you will be useless for the next 2 days because migraine hangovers are real and they feel like your brain has been stretched beyond all recognition, and now you cannot find where you left all the important stuff you normally keep in it. Astonishingly, you somehow recover from all of this. Periodically, you remember that a statistically significant number of people will never experience a headache at all. I started having them when I was 6. For the best part of a decade, I got 2 per month, linked to my cycle. There was an 18-month period of my adult life when I had 1 every day. The greatest blessing I had in my last job was a manager who had them too. It really is not just a headache. Story 22. Being aware at 12 when the rib spreaders opened your chest for open heart surgery. It was 1978. I am a redhead. Anesthesia was administered differently back then to children. Story 23. Extremely low self-esteem and the depression it brings sneak up on me. It starts out small and keeps growing until I can't think straight. Voices in your head tell you negative things about yourself that you try to block out. But it's hard because it's yourself. It's screaming at you and starts becoming suicidal thoughts, saying everyone would be better off if you weren't around. Constantly degrades you, and you can't bring yourself to tell it to stop because you believe every word. I hate it so much. Depression is horrible, and it's hard to cure. Story 24. Seeing someone else post the exact same thing you posted yesterday, and theirs is getting a lot of attention while yours did not. Story 25. Pulling out your back causes you to favor your lower back, leading you to tense up and place all the pressure on your upper back, which makes the situation much worse. You don't realize how much you use your back until it is in debilitating pain. Story 26. Full-blown severe migraines. Had one where I lost the ability to read and recognize faces. Went to the emergency room thinking it was a stroke. No, just a really bad migraine. Story 27. This is going to sound pathetic, but trust me, it is not. The pain of a stutter is not physical. It is mental. People begin to feel so embarrassed that they stop doing things that involve speaking out of fear. This then causes the stutter to worsen, and people actually avoid speaking in general. After a while of being untreated, some people have tried to end their own lives because of the embarrassment, shame, and bullying that come with it. Story 28. Sleep deprivation is painful and nagging in a different way, like something is constantly pulling you down. Story 29. I have late diagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I know a therapist who also has it and specializes in it in their practice. I once heard them describe boredom for many people with the disorder as being literally painful at times, and I had never thought about that, but yes, it sometimes is. If you have a big enough deficit of dopamine, your brain can become significantly understimulated. In that state, trying to do something boring is like trying to run a car's engine without any oil. Parts will scrape together in there. It is also why we are often easily distracted. The brain zeroes in on activities that stimulate dopamine flow and will easily abandon ones that do not because the boredom feels so awful. I have had periods of burnout where it seems like nothing I do gets the dopamine flowing properly. The understimulation is so severe that even the idea of putting down my phone, getting out of bed, getting dressed, and brushing my teeth fills me with a level of dread as if I am about to walk through a house that is on fire. We do not tend to think of boredom as more than a mild inconvenience, but many behaviors for the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder sufferer are just desperate avoidance of feeling bored because we do not have a level of natural stimulation to handle it. Story 30. Wanting to confess something that you feel, but it is understandably a deeply looked down upon feeling everywhere, and there is a large chance that your family and friends may never talk to you again or hate you because of it. It is crushing me. I do not know if I can go on any further. Story 31. Chronic pain. Wake up in pain. Eat in pain. Use the bathroom in pain. Have sex in pain. Every second of every day in pain. You cannot relax because you are in pain. It never ends, and you learn to live with it until you can afford or have the time to fix it, which is uncertain. Your life revolves around the pain, and it is mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausting. Story 32. A tragic, unnatural death that no one ever sees coming. There is no chance to say goodbye to a friend or family member. They are just gone. The same could be said of someone who is murdered or missing, with the case never being solved. Story 33. Irritable bowel syndrome. Many women describe it as equal to giving birth with complications. I never knew I would describe anything as 11 out of 10 and had hoped for it to be cancer so I could finally die and be set free. It has been 4 years now, and I have learned to manage it. However, the chronic nature of it, literally always being in severe pain, changed me. People stay away because my eyes look like I am a psychopath. I am hyperreactive to emotions and cannot regulate them at all. My life and room are a mess, but still, I just completed my A-levels. Always have to keep moving forward. Employment? Impossible due to using the toilet so much. Never knowing what the future brings, if it brings anything at all, is hell. Story 34. Unwanted divorce. Watching everything you worked for destroyed and seeing your children broken based on a one-sided decision in which you have no input. Story 35. Mentally, I would say borderline personality disorder. The level of emotional pain I have felt is absolutely horrific, but I cannot describe it to anyone in words. The best I can do is say it feels like I am being gutted, drowning, and suffocating all at once. Just absolute emotional agony. During severe episodes, it comes wave after wave until I am so exhausted and overwhelmed by the pain that I either pass out or contemplate ending things. Then, when it passes and I am in the postdromal stage, I feel completely and utterly empty, a hollow shell of a person. I am always absolutely exhausted and dissociate for a day or two. I would not wish it on anyone. Physically, spraining my back was pretty brutal. I have done it twice, and both times there were many tears involved. Story 36. Being cheated on by someone you thought was your best friend and life partner is devastating. The impact on the children was also significant. I started drinking to help myself sleep. It was a long road to become normal again. Story 37. Waking up from pleurotosis. They roughen the pleural lining around your lungs and then apply talc to cause your lungs to scar and adhere to the pleural lining. Story 38. The pain of being trained and practicing for 8 years to get your dream job, only to have it taken away by a visa officer who was in a bad mood and accused you of misrepresentation, resulting in a lifetime ban. The pain of being stuck in your country, which is not interested in your field of expertise. The pain of having your dreams taken away because someone in charge did not feel well that morning. Story 39. A woman woke up during a medical procedure due to failed anesthesia, but because of the paralytic drug, she could not move or speak. She felt the entire procedure. She felt them burn her flesh, dig around her insides, and peel her skin back. She said she had never experienced pain so otherworldly. It caused long-term post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. Story 40. Infected pilonidal cyst. Large throbbing swelling filled with pus in the buttocks. No position is comfortable because the location affects everything. My infected and ruptured appendix hurt less. Story 41. Crippling anxiety because it is just so irrational, but your body has a fear response of, oh, I am dying, I am gonna die, something is wrong, and I am just sitting on the couch with my boyfriend watching videos. Story 42. When you have needed to defecate for the last 50 miles and finally arrive at a rest stop, but the rest stop bathroom is closed, and the next town is another 50 miles away. Story 43. Oral migraines, especially with astigmatism, make it difficult to do anything except lie in a very dark room. They ruin plans, work, and everything else. Story 44. Having a parent die before you are old enough to remember much about them feels awful, but you do not even know exactly what you are missing. Story 45. Losing a parent. Before losing my father, I had lost all 4 of my grandparents, cousins, and friends, but I had no idea of the different pain of losing a parent. Story 46. Chronic back pain and panic attacks. Describing these is like explaining that you just saw a ghost. People often dismiss chronic pain as well. Story 47. Constipation. They don't tell you in the hospital that pain medications like oxycodone cause constipation. You can be on your back for 3 or 4 days taking medications, then be sent home still taking medications. Then 3 or 4 days later, you're passing something as large as a baseball. It feels like all these punchlines you never understood before. Straddling the stick shift in your car. If men could give birth. Or that scene from Hancock where he says, I'm going to put this dude's head up that dude's ass. You think, well, let's get this over with. And then it doesn't resolve for 2 more days. Story 48. Excruciating and unbearable anxiety. There should be a different word for it. People use the term anxiety when they mean normal anxiety that most people experience at some point or when they mean being stressed out or overwhelmed. But extreme anxiety is just brutal, even worse than a panic attack. It is hard to explain. I have had anxiety and panic attacks since I was young, and I thought that was the worst it could get. I was wrong. I never knew it was possible to feel so horrible until I experienced it a few years ago. The worst part lasted for about a month. Then it started to slowly get better. The memory of it was so horrifying that I was scared of it coming back for years. I still am a bit, but I am feeling safer now. It angers me so much when people say it is just a feeling and everyone feels anxious sometimes. No, I am positive most people have never experienced it. There was something seriously wrong, and it was not just life. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.